The Final Furlong podcast is proudly brought to you by Jeff Banks Bet. Get up to £500 refunded as real money for new Jeff Banks online accounts after your first month of betting. Use promo code FFP500 at jeffbanks.bet.
Welcome to the weekend preview on the Final Furlong podcast. This is very much after the Lord Mayor's show. The Cheltenham Festival was epic. It was a bloodbath, but it was epic. But we've got Kelso, Newbury and Bangor this weekend. And possibly some pretty good betting opportunities as well. There's some interesting races. We're going to take some swings, I think. George Gorman, Andy Newton here alongside me. George is going to be with us on Monday as we play the Yes No Game Show Grand National edition. We'll go through every runner in the Grand National, yes or no from the team, and we will come up with who is going to win the 2025 Grand National. Do not miss that. It'll be on YouTube and all good podcast apps and some rubbish ones as well. If you haven't liked this episode yet, please do so now. And Andy's got some killer content for the Grand National coming up in sportscasting. Check out Andy's sportscasting. They've got loads of great content there. Betting for our first live race at Kelso is the 115. Dare to Shout is the strong favourite, 6-4, 11-4. There is 7-4 available. Pull Again Green, 3-1 shot. Isn't this just a matter, though, George Gorman, of Dare to Shout should just win this race? If Mr. Incredible jumped off, he'd win, but will he?
I've taken a chance on Pull Again Green here. Like he last won in August 2023 off a £3 lower mark, which obviously is long enough ago. He did win by 8 lengths that day, so I think it'd be fair to assume he would have won off today's mark as well. But what caught my eye is 3 starts ago, he went quite close. He was beaten a length and a half by Neon Moon off £4 higher than today's mark. Who obviously next time out, Neon Moon ran exceptionally when he was beaten 4.5 lengths into third by Chianti Classico off £4 higher, so after his £4 rise. That was his last time running on genuine good ground with a start on good to soft and soft since. Of his 6 career victories, 2 have come on good, 1 on yielding and 3 on good to soft. So he might be one of these horses that could prove very well handicap now the ground's starting to turn. So I'll have a little go on Pull Again Green.
All right, Pull Again Green is certainly a competitive price at the moment. You're getting 4-1, and you will get that with Jeff Banks Bet if you act fast as soon as those prices go up. But they'll be competitive. Andy, what's your view on this race?
Yeah, I mean, look, Dare to Shout is going to be the one that the punters draw to with all the 2s next to its name. But I mean, that's probably the slight worry. I mean, it's only won once, I think, over fences from 6 starts, and does have a habit of getting the silver. But yeah, I mean, look, it was second to the ultimate winner that George put up amazingly. So that was a big feather in the cap there for you, George. Well done, that one. So look, yeah, the form's obviously been franked, so there is a lot to like about that. But look, we've only seen one winning favourite in this in the last 8, so it's not a great sort of race for the jolly at the head of the mark. Mr. Incredible is going to attract a bit of attention as well, but as you said, I mean, it's refused, pulled up, unseated, and it just whether it even starts or not, it's obviously changed trainer since. Pull Again Green, yeah, I can see where you're coming with that one, George, as well. Just 10 runs without a win is a bit of a worry, but I see that. But I mean, Lucinda Russell's got a couple in here with a lightweight. The jockey bookings will point you towards Cadell with Derek Fox riding course winner as well. But I think I'm just going to take a bit of a swing at your own story. First time visor. Look, 9 runs since that one's one of the races. But, it was 9th in the Ida last time out. That was about his first run for a couple of months. It's bound to improve for that. It's only got 10 stone free here. Ground will be fine. Kelso record is run there twice, come twice. So if you look back on its form, does seem to do better in this time of year, spring, sort of March, April sort of time. So I think, has Lucinda won this a couple of times in the past? I'm not sure. She's done a couple of times in the last 8. I need to double check that, but that would be a plus as well. It's interesting she's got 2. So look, your own story, tentative vote against the favourite, really. I just can't have that, as I said before.
Yeah, that's the thing. I just wonder about his finishing effort as well, to a certain extent. Like, he definitely has the form, the ability is there. Does he find a whole lot in the finish? I'm not so sure he does. I think this is a really open race, and because of that, maybe I'm still just battered and bruised from Cheltenham. Mr. Incredible is just a little bit too tempting here. Like, if he jumps off, he's going to win. It's just that simple. He was rated as high as 153. He's got the stamina. He'll outclass this field if he jumps. if he jumps off, I think we're in for a win. The problem is he's refused to race and he's pulled himself up a couple of times. But
well, you can wait and see if he jumps off and then, get involved if he does.
Yeah. You could absolutely do that. You could absolutely do that. But he is very much a case of all duck or no dinner, and I will stick him in some elaborate multiple, but it'll be a win multiple because he's highly unlikely to place, but very likely to win if he goes and jumps off. Okay, we'll switch to our one race at Bangor, which is the 135. Newbury heads the betting for Nicky Henderson. Freddie Gordon on board. Thunder Rock for Ella McNeil is a 9-2 shot. Hum Publique is 7s. West to the Bridge 5s. The 4-6s go on Taylor Sheridan 8-1. All of the Taylor Sheridan TV shows we highly recommend. Okay, George Gorman, take us through your thoughts on the first and only race recovering from Bangor on Saturday, the 135.
Yeah, look, for me, a lot of the racing this weekend is going to base around the changing ground, like it's drying out and that. And I think a horse that brings a freshness edge here as well as a ground edge is Mr. Freedom. He's won 11 races in his life. One of those is on the all-weather, which obviously wouldn't dissuade you from the fact he wants this ground. So of all the rest of them, I think on the flat, he's won 3 times on good to firm. I think over hurdles, he's won on good to firm. I think there's only one soft ground win over hurdles to his name out of 5 wins. The rest are all good to firm. All of his flat wins are on good to firm. He's a proper horse. He's off 125. So that's £3 lower than when he was admittedly well beaten by our champ at Plumpton last season in March. But our champ, I think, was off 122 that day. He's now 135 horse. And his most recent win over hurdles. His most recent run over hurdles, he was beaten at Worcester, probably over a trip a little too far for him. I think he's still fairly well treated off 125, and he actually did win off 125 last season as well at Plumpton. Bangor would be like my limited knowledge of Bangor itself. It wouldn't be a dissimilar sort of track. It'd be fairly tight, and I just think he's a horse that's He's going to be going there fresh when a lot of horses have had a hard season, and he's going to love the ground. And he won't lie down. He's a very, very tough horse. I think he's probably overpriced here.
Bangor suits sharp travelling, accurate jumpers.
Much like Plumpton.
Yes, which is why I came down on him too. I thought that Nusret would be interesting, but I don't know if that horse can really find the form that he once had before. Thunder Rock is the class horse, but you can't trust him. It lacks an obvious front runner, so immediately he's of interest. The fact that he's well handicapped, he brings strong RPRs into the race. He's the one, and he's a very, very fair price. We're getting 12-1 about Mr. Freedom. Happy days. Take that. A ringing endorsement from me. I thought that West of the Bridge could be interesting, but he's shorter than I would have liked. I would have liked a bigger price about him. He's only about 11-2. So Mr. Freedom for me and for George. Andy Newton, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, the Henderson horse that used to be with O'Brien was 14th from the Galway hurdle, wasn't it? That Nazareth. It's just going to be a massive market watcher, isn't it? And we'll just see, how that one is going to fare. 233 days since its last run, and so we'll just have to see about that one. Thunder Rock and the 4-6s, obviously Ollie Murphy does well here with his hurdlers. He's I think about 22% strike rate of his hurdlers, and Thunder Rock, I'm not sure can have that at the moment. Does look, probably is quite well handicapped, but I think his other one, the 4-6s, is quite interesting, especially with Sean getting the ride. I mean, look, you're going to see Fallen second pulled up, unseated pulled up next to its name, and then it's going to put a lot of people off. But last time out in Newbury, when it was pulled up, it was over 3 miles, and it ran okay for pretty much most of that race. And that was its first run for since sort of Christmas time, 27th of December. Murphy Camper go right at the moment. There's only been a couple of reruns of this race. Both of them being won by 7-year-olds. So, there's not a lot of stats to go on, but that is interesting that previous winners of this race being won by 7-year-olds. Favourites have got quite a good record in it, and I just think that with that's all run under its belt. The drop back to 2.5 miles, that'll be interesting. And another stable that all weekend that we should be looking out for is Harry Derham. He hasn't got a run in this race, but he's got plenty that we're going to talk about in a minute, I think. But Jamie Snowden as well. He is absolutely flying at the moment. He's one of the ones we've got on trainers' quotes. I say it a lot, so I'll try and whack up some of his comments when we get the body up and running. 1 year at a big price, that Mildam bombed out last night in the Moor battle up at Kelso. But before that, it won quite well up at Haydock. The ground will be fine. The trip's a slight worry. I think its most of its running's been a bit shorter. But look, just basically purely because the Snowden camp can do little wrong at the moment. There's got to be a little each way squeak in a race that, I don't know, you could argue cats for pretty much most of them, I think.
Okay. We'll switch to the 150 at Kelso, where I think Why Not's this is going to be pretty simple. I think we're all going to agree Why Not's going to win. Class angle of the race. Last seen finishing third to Jatara in the Yorkshire Rose Mares Hurdle, grade 2, back against her own level, her own sex at listed level. She's going to take a hell of a lot of beating. She's even money. That's the best price you're getting. She's odds on across the board. But I have it from a good source that you will get the best price with Jeff Banks Bet. JeffBanks.bet. Use your promo code FFP500. Get 10% of any net losses back after your first 3 months of betting. Not just 1 month, 3 months of betting. That's an insane offer. JeffBanks.bet right now. And sign up to take full advantage of all of that for the Grand National too. Plus, you can watch all of the racing on the Jeff Banks Bet website and the Jeff Banks app. Is Why Not just going to crush them, George?
Basically, yeah. She holds all of them at the weights and several of them on form. She was beat 7 3/4 lengths the last time by Jetara, but that also obviously ran a blinder in the Mares Hurdle to finish 4th. I'd say it's probably a form boost, if anything. Ottazini is the second best treated at the weights, and she's only just the £5 wrong with Why Not. And she got beat 9 lengths by her the last time they met. 2 starts ago for Why Not. It's hard to see the £4 swing at the weights from then closing the gap enough. The only thing I would say, I'd back her in and around even shade of odds on. I wouldn't back her at mad prices because we are talking about mares in the spring here and mad things can happen. So I'd take anywhere around there.
Mad things can happen should just be like the new tagline for Cheltenham. Just show the champion hurdle again and just go, mad things can happen. Come to Cheltenham. Gamble responsibly. Proceed with caution. But this is a banker for the multiples for the weekend, surely, Andy.
Yeah, I mean, of the ITV races, I mean, a lot of them are quite tricky puzzles to try and solve, but this one looks fairly easy. I mean, Why Not looks the most solid, most reliable. She pretty much runs her race most times, whereas, that the same can't be said for a lot of these other ones. Gail Marler started off the season all right, and then it's sort of just fallen off a cliff, really. And the same with that Ottazini, who, has been beaten by Why Not anyway. I think there's about £4 difference for 9 lengths. I think the step up and trip for Why Not when it's run over this sort of 3 mile, it won easily at Donny, didn't it? So I think that's going to be absolutely fine. The other one that I'll probably take a punt on if you are sort of playing the forecast is that Jefferson horse, the Ruth Jefferson one, that Lavender Adiva, I think it's called. Brian Hughes is on it. He's 1 from 2 on the horse. I just think the sort of style of its runs just crying out for a longer trip. So bit of a punt. I mean, it hasn't gone this far at all, but I think if you look at its runs, that definitely worth a sort of crack over this sort of 3 mile plus. So yeah, and I think it's as well. I had a couple of excuses. The last twice got hampered by some horses in the race. So yeah, tentative sort of forecast play with that Lavida, but Why Not? Probably the banker of the weekend, really, isn't it, for a lot? But take George's point with the mares this time of year. But,
yeah, we make the point, banker, certainty. There's no such thing in horse racing. Cheltenham shows that. 205 Newbury. Can you see I'm still licking my wounds? 205 Newbury. It's a Premier Race Day fixture. Oh my goodness, it's Premier Racing. Oh, I'm sure the crowd is going to be just jointed. The place is going to be filled with people. And don't forget, it's a Premier Racing experience. We love Newbury. It's a great track. Premier Racing. What a huge success. Northern Ireland, speaking of Harry Derham, this fellow's going to win, isn't he? He's going to be suited by the strong pace. It's a very, very strong pace forecast for this race. He'll be suited by the galloping track at Newbury as well. There's an awful lot to like about Northern Ireland, except his price, but you can get 5-1, possibly with Jeff Banks bet. George Gorman.
The problem I have with Northern Ireland is he's obviously very well handicapped in theory on his 3/4 length second to Bucephalus, who 11 length winner next time, now rated 132. That was on soft ground.
Yeah.
He was a beaten favourite last time back on a sounder surface. And I'm going to keep banging the drum with it this weekend. The ground worries me. I think Glenbray is probably reasonably handicapped, but just reasonably. Oh My Johnny's up £5, which seems fair. I'm going to take a swing with a couple here. I like Bo Qualley was beaten a length and a quarter over 2 miles by Wolf Moon, who was obviously second to Palladium on that horse's winning debut. So he was beaten a length and a quarter by that horse off levels at Southall. He was keeping on well over 2 miles that day. Wolf Moon won yesterday, beating Galactic Charm, a short head, conceding £10. And from that Southall race where this horse beat Wolf Moon, the fourth, who was beaten 6.5 lengths that day, was beaten a short head next time out in a maiden hurdle. Bo Qualley gets to come here the same mark as his defeat to Wolf Moon, up in trip, and he's finished second on good ground before, so I wouldn't have any worries with the ground. He'd be my one, and then my other one is Old Cowboy. Like he's up £6 for beating a 1-8 shot 20 lengths, which obviously that horse either did or didn't run its race, just maybe wasn't very good. At Plumpton just before the Monday off Cheltenham. It might not be the most competitive events bar those two horses, but he took my eye at Ascot. I was there the day he ran before at Ascot, and he just came bang on the bridle, looked the winner all over, and then didn't finish his race off. Now I think he scoped dirty after that, which sort of explains that. But I remember I said to the girl who looks after it as they're putting him on the lorry to go home, I said, that horse will win races. Like just the way he snapped onto the bridle, he looked the winner all over that day. This is why I actually, after time, I backed him at Plumpton to beat the Willie Mullins horse because I just thought.
Oh, good for you, George. Good for you.
Well, I just thought he's no mug, and Willie's not sending horses to Plumpton because they're superstars. Do you know what I mean? But I think it's a vote of confidence for him that they did have the anti-post favourite for this race, Gary and Josh Moore in Authentic Legacy, and have decided to let this horse run instead. I see 121 could underrate him, so I'll take Bo Qualley and Old Cowboy against the field.
Have you seen this horse? Doing something impressive on the gallops?
It's mostly based on what I saw at Ascot, if I'm honest. I saw him school this morning. He was fine. He was grand. He works well. Like I said, he's one length. He works like a 120, 130 horse. But I think he could have gone up a lot more for what he did last time out.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I did note this morning for Northern Ireland might need genuine soft ground to be fully effective, but this looks like it's going to be a mad gallop. And he's the horse who'd be really suited to a pace collapse because he's just going to stay on strongly. And the fact that he stays further is ideal for that long straight at Newbury. So I'm going to take the chance that he's going to get away with the ground, but I might be wrong and you might be right. But Northern Ireland is my selection. Andy, for you?
Look, I'm all over Northern Ireland.
Yes! When Andy and I agree, we're rarely wrong. Let's go, Andy Newton. Let's go.
The planets have aligned. But yeah, no, look, I agree. I mean, look, it's been crying out for the longer trip. You know, the way it's been running. Look, you know, it's only had 4 runs. There's going to be a bit more improvement. The form of those runs that it's been, been franked with that Bluegrass has come out, and the second last time out, one since, and like George said, the run before that. The winner's gone in again as well. Look, Yard, as we alluded to, Harry Rome's got quite a few sort of dotted around the ITV races this weekend, and form of the Yard could not be any better. And yeah, look, the ground, it is a small worry, but look, he has come second. He tops it on good ground in a 13-horse race back in October. So I'll take a punt on that with the longer trip, sort of, offsetting the potential ground issues. But yeah, I mean, I was going to ask George about our old Cowboy as well. So I think he's answered all the questions there, and that was going to be the sort of danger. I think, I don't know what price it was. I mean, I'm seeing 14-1, but I don't know if it's going to be as big as that. Might be. And then, yeah, I mean, look, you've got a few sort of big gun stables in here as well. I mean, Henderson's got one as well in here, and Nichols, he won the race in 2021. So first time piece for that jackpot the board. So there's obviously going to be a few sort of punters leaning towards those two as well. But yeah, look, Northern Iron takes this, no problem. Bang. Definitely each way. No problem.
No problem, says Andy Newton.
What's the Northern Iron Old Cowboy forecast pay? That's got to be the one, isn't it? We've got two on each of the two horses.
Man, oh man, oh man! If we were to pull that one off, we'd be doing all right. Okay, 225 at Kelso is the Go North on target handicap hurdle. It's a competitive renewal. 16 runners for the Class 2 event. 30k up for grabs. Multiple confirmed front runners in the field, so it's going to be a really strongly run race, or at least you would think it will be. I Am Max heads the betting at 5-1 from Ballyfort 6s. Nordic Tiger 17-2, and Ashington, an interesting contender at 10-1. George Gorman, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's going to be another ground readout, I'm afraid. Ashington has recorded 6 of his 8 career victories on good ground, 1 on good to soft and 1 on soft. Even his 2 flat victories came on good and good to firm ground. So 3 of those wins have come off a higher mark than this in handicap company. In fact, once you take claims into account, his 5 handicap hurdle victories have all come off higher marks than this, bar 1. Of his last 5 starts on good ground, he's won 3. I think given how much the horse enjoys faster ground, I think the £5 rise for his last win won't stop him. And this is what, again, I always feel like there's a horse where they've got a name that means something to you. You always try really hard not to tip them. Yeah. And if you still come round on that horse, it means you must really like it. And Ashington, I can nearly see out my window. It's about 5 minutes. It's about 5 minutes from me. So I tried everything I could to go, I can't tip the horse called Ashington. That's ridiculous. And I kept coming back to him. So it's Ashington for me.
Well, I love this because my note for Ashington is a wide open race. He's going to be well placed to pounce late in a strongly run race that will suit hold up horses and well handicapped. We're getting 10-1. Now, if Andy Newton comes swinging in here, the day's racing becomes even clearer. I was pretty excited. Like the racing, let's be honest, this racing's not great. It's not Dubai World Cup standards. It's not exactly forever young in the Dubai World Cup or the grade ones at Aintree that we're going to be looking forward to. But there's some really interesting betting propositions, and this is one of the ones I'm most excited about. So if Andy Newton comes in here now going, well, boys, I agree, I might lose my mind. And if he just goes, nah, you're both talking nonsense, then I'll be back in my box. Andy?
Bad news, folks. Unfortunately, I can't see Ashington out of my window here, so I'm not going to go that one. Yeah, look, it was a nice winner last time at Donny and the stuff, but and it's only at £4, so I totally see where the value could be here, and it could easily go again. Look, Ballyfort up £9 for its winner at Ayr last time out. Better ground would be the worry for that one. I Am Max up £5 for its recent win as well. Into a handicap, I think would be the concern for that one for me. The Kirby horse Aknamara, again another winner last time out. There's plenty in this race that do come here off the back of a win, but Kirby's only 1 from 29 with his hurdlers at Kelso, so a bit of a concern with that one. And talked about Harry Derham earlier. He's got another one here. We're just going to keep pumping the Harry Derham horses right this weekend, and hopefully one of them will stick. This Nordic Tiger, it's bombed out the last couple of times. I beat him 48 lengths last time at Kelso, but the key, as George keeps going on about this weekend, is the ground. Its last win came on a good surface. Been running, its last 3 runs have been on soft. Dropped a tad back down in the handicap. It's only, I think, rated £1 higher than its last win. Alice Stevens rides again. She has a good relationship with the horse, or pretty much always rides it. Last 2 winners of this race been won by a conditional as well, so that's a plus. And as I keep saying, Yarder in form, and this horse does seem to sort of go well this time of year. So I just think that one is worth looking at. The other one, possibly the John Joe O'Neill horse, that Savar. Again, they do quite well at the track, sending ones up it. But the form of the John Joe team at the moment is not great. It's not great. So it's a bit of a tricky one. They do great up there, with their sort of track stats. But
Johnny Who should have won at Cheltenham.
Johnny Who should have won at Cheltenham, yeah. But
to be fair,
if you ever look, I don't know, what's he on at the moment? He's on something like let's have a quick look. 1 winner from his last 28.
It's not good.
It should have been maybe 2. So, you compare that with Harry Derham, who's 5 from 15, possibly even better. I think he's had at least another win today. We're doing this on Thursday. So, look, Nordic Tiger. I can see it out my window. There's a Nordic Tiger going past my house.
Tiger with a hat on with the horns, like coming out the sun.
Yeah.
I just add one little small point of detail. It might be nitpicky, but Nordic Tiger's last win, Alice Stevens was claiming 5 then. He's technically a pound above his last winning mark rather than the pound below, which seems nitpicky, but he did win by a nose or a short head, I think.
I think the key factor in all this is that Paddy Barlow's £7 claim is going to swing this in our favour and he's going to win.
Yeah, he did have that the last day, though. It's worth mentioning. Once you track through all his other wins, there are a few where he won off like a slightly higher mark, but actually, once you take into account the claims, he's actually below his 4 of his last 5 winning marks. But I just thought I'd add that purely because Nordic Tiger's last win was by such a narrow margin. The £2 swing is worth mentioning.
Yep, all things need to be factored in when we're placing our bets. Could this be the nap of the weekend in the 240? At Newbury, we've got Bob Ricard is the favourite 4-1, 7-2. St. Siegel 9-2. Theatre Man. Oh yes, Theatre Man. Let's go. A 6-1 shot and Scarface. Say hello to my little friend. 7-1. George Gorman. Who do you like?
It's going to be very short and sweet because I think most of these are in a position, maybe handicap-wise or career-wise, where they're not likely to win again anytime soon. Whereas Theatre Man's now £2 lower than when he was beaten 2 3/4 lengths by Ginny's Destiny last January. He's been missing a bit since then, but his first run after a wind-up, if he can return to anything like that, I don't think he's going to need to be on a winning mark to win this, and he nearly is. So he's the only horse I can in good conscience suggest that anyone backs in this race.
Looks extremely well treated, returning to ideal conditions. First run off a wind up, won and placed off a layoff of 60 days or more. If back to his best, he will bolt up. That was my one.
Yeah.
We're going to make fortunes this weekend. Fortunes are going to be made this weekend. I got to go do the multiple bet like the second I've finished recording this podcast, because the FFP army are going to be just taking all of Jeff Banks' money. Andy Newton.
Yeah, man. First run off wind up. 9 of the last 10 winners of this race ran in the last 6 weeks, so that's a little concern with Theatre Man. But on a plus, he does tick another big stat. 8% of the last 10 had 11 stone 1 or more, and he's bang on that 11 stone 1. And like you say, that Ginny's Destiny form, you go back to that, then a race like this where, like you say, I mean, Cigar's probably handicapped. I mean, that's probably got the best form coming into the race. That third in the Great Cup, but you just think of this mark. I think it's pretty similar mark, or if not the same, 139. Likes the track, obviously, but just think something else might be a tad better handicapped. That Bob card again, John Joe horse. We spoke about the form of their runners at the moment. That would be the worry. Only had 2 last time for its win at Donington and still gets in here with lightweight, so totally wouldn't put you off that. But look, the interesting one was Skelton has won this last couple of years, hasn't he, with that Cheltenham, who was entered in this race a couple of days ago, and he, for whatever reason, doesn't run again for the 3-timer. But he's still got 2 in there, that Real Stone, which is a big price, and he's got this risk in the ground where Harry Skelton rides. and that might be worth a little bit of a punt, just because Skelton has won this for the last couple of years. The ground will be absolutely a pound higher than its last win, I think, at Bangor, which came last in September. It's dropped down the weights as a result of loads of thirds and fourths and fifths and stuff. So it's just interesting. I mean, maybe there was something up with Cheltenham, I don't know, but the fact it won it the last 2 years and it's not running, and they're still pitching 2 in here. And then we should probably talk about, Imagine Harry Derham. He's got another one in as well. Ex-Gordon Elliott horse on some old form. He got to beat the Gold Cup winner, didn't it, back in the day? At Fairy House in 2023. Imagine. So there's loads to go on there, but since then it hasn't progressed at all, is it? Imagine first time piece.
And he's from that.
The Caldwell Dispersal.
I said he's from that excellent Caldwell Dispersal sale that's given us a Cheltenham Festival winner.
2.
Yeah, as well.
Two Cheltenham Festival winners, Jazzy Maddie and Caldwell Potter. Look, StreamYard loves it so much, it's throwing the balloons up. It's such a huge success. Phil Dore's going to win a grade 1 any day now, watch.
Yeah, exactly. Who was ever saying that sale was a disaster?
Yeah.
Winners.
Certainly nobody on this podcast.
No,
Kate
no,
Young. No, nobody on this show was suggesting such things. Kate back on the show on Monday as well, by the way, after a hugely successful Cheltenham for her. Okay, to the 3 o'clock at Kelso. Where again, the theme of the weekend seems to be strong pace forecasts, or at least massive pace on paper. Surrey Bell heads the betting, unsurprisingly, at 5-1 from, I'd love to say Wakanda, but it's not. Wallacadena? Whatever. It should just be Wakanda. Northern Air 6s, Bababrul 7s. Have we even mentioned the winner yet? I don't know. George Gorman.
Again, this is one where I felt I needed 2 goes at it. And I think I've picked the horses you most like, the name you most like saying just then, and the name you least like saying just then. I've got Walkadena, second run after a wind up. Like her 14-length defeat of Sunset Marquesa on Hurdle's debut, who's now rated 117, suggested she was going to be much better than she is now. However, she did have a first time tongue tie that day, first start over hurdles, which probably suggested that we were going to end up at the wind up one way or another. But even more impressive than that was the 4 1/4 length fourth on her second start at Newbury. She's beaten 2.5 lengths by Jubilee Alpha, now rated 127. 4 1/4 lengths by Listen to Your Heart, now rated 127. She was 4-7 to win on her first start back from a wind up. But she's only beaten 3/4 of a length, and I just think, it's well noted at this point that sometimes horses need that first run back from the wind up to sort of to realise they can breathe again. So all that form, everything suggests she should be around a high 120 sort of. So I give her a chance here. And the other bit of a swing is Barabul. Like, he was 3rd last time, but he beat the 113 rated 2-5 favourite Anno Power that day. Beat her 2 1/4 lengths. Gets to run here off 105 somehow. Despite that, beat Tor Overly beaten by Tor Overly that day, but gets a £14 swing at the weights here with a horse for whom this is surely going to come too quickly after Cheltenham. And on the ground front, he's also the winner of a maiden hurdle on good ground. So that'll be my other swing.
Okay, I quite liked Tor Overly for this race. I'm kind of surprised they're throwing her out from Cheltenham so quickly, but they've decided to go and do it. Good luck to them. I think she's pretty decent each way play here in a race that's got so much pace in it. It should set up for a closer. She's got progressive form, and I like her, particularly at her price, with Isabel Williams claiming 3. So Tor Overly is the one for me at a big price in a race that could see a bit of an upset. Andy Newton for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep fairly short. I mean, I've not got a great opinion on this race, but yeah, we've got George with Baraball on this one as well. And again, another Harry Derham one. We know the stable of flying in its 5th of that Jubilee Alpha, and that's obviously ran okay in that mare's novice at Cheltenham. This will be a lot easier. First time in a handicap. I think, like George said, could be on a fair opening mark. Ground would be absolutely fine. Alice Stevens, I think, does she ride it? I think she does, and takes off another £3, so that's another bonus. And look, the other one, Northern Air. I mean, Fergal O'Brien, he does okay here. He's got about a 31% strike rate, I think, with his hurdlers. Stable actually won this in 2023 as well. Won at Taunton last time out, into a handicap here. That was its first run after a wing dot, but more importantly, the third and the fourth in that race have both come out and won since. Jenna Duderies and another horse called Ivan Made Your Mind. So form looks fairly solid there, with a yard who seemed to target this race in the past, Virgil O'Brien. So yeah, Northern Air and Barrable, I think, the ones that came down.
Speaking of Fergal O'Brien, he's got the favourite for our next race, the 3:15 at Newbury. It's the Betfixture British EBF National Hunt Mares Novices Hurdle. I thought the Durham horse was going to be favourite, Yasmin Bliss. That's probably going to be my selection, but it's the Fergal O'Brien horse that's coming in for the money. Sieg Gale, you'll be able to get at least 4-1 with Jeff Banks Bet by the time this episode has gone live. JeffBanks.bet. Use your promo code FFP500 and be eligible for 10% of any net losses back up to your first 3 months of betting. Not just one, not just two, 3. 10% of any net losses back after your first 3 months of betting. It's an offer you won't get anywhere else. JeffBanks.bet. Use your promo code FFP500 now, especially in time for the Entry Grand National and the Classics. George Gorman is... We've been hearing Andy Newton basically on the Harry Derham fanboy train here all day. So are you with Derham in this race?
I'm not, and I'm with the horse I'm with because I quite fancied her to go close in the Martin Pipe and was very frustrated when she ran at Southwell instead. So this is ripped straight from the cheat sheet, most of this.
Good man. Which was highly successful. Well done.
Yeah, a draft of the cheat sheet anyway. Le Pensionnaire was a grade 3 enlisted place over 2 mile 2 in France. Her first 2 runs in England were over 2 mile. She was left in front on a UK debut and the leader ran out the second last, which, to a young mare would have been very off-putting. And she basically ran with her ears pricked and got run down late by a horse that got a nice lead into the race off her. On a second start, she was even more unlucky. She was left in front by a fooler at the third and was green all the way round, got headed 2 from home, and then stayed on strongly to get up and break her maiden. She finally stepped up in trip to 2 mile 4 the last time, where she wasn't any match for Jasmine Bliss. There's no way of shaking it otherwise. She beat her 11 lengths, but she gets a £7 pull at the weights now, and the addition of cheek pieces could well make her a player, especially bearing in mind how she sort of ran around when she was left on her own. The first twice she ran in this country might have been initially put down to greenness and then was decided that actually this horse needs a little something to focus her up. So I think the £7 pull at the weight to get her into the van with Jasmine Bliss. If the cheek pieces can pull out a bit more, she might well be able to beat her. And to be honest, she's an each way price anyway. So I would probably back her each way, plan for her to be placed and hope that she can get the business done on the win part of the bet as well.
Okay, so it's the Henderson horse for you?
Yes.
Okay. You're getting 9-1 at least about Nicky Henderson's runner with Nico de Boinville on board. La Pisinière. Andy?
Yeah, I mean, look, Hendo's got 3 in it as well, hasn't he? That Crazier Than Daisy, who's same owners as Doddy the Great, who did us a favour in the Potemps with the first time cheek pieces and the first time tongue tie. So that got us out of a bit of a hole on the Thursday. So yeah,
it didn't actually, but it was a help though.
It didn't. No, true. Yeah, got us out, halfway got us out of the hole. But anyway, yeah. Look, I mean, I think based on the jockey bookings with Nico riding the other one, Le Penisière with the first time cheek pieces. I think that possibly, George could be right there. Might turn the form at Jasmine Bliss with I think it's a £7 better off, isn't it, for 11 lengths, but might improve for the cheap pieces and so on. But Neil Mulholland, that's another yard going okay at a big price. Probably that one might be worth a little look. It's at the bottom called Of Course You Can. But look, the main one, I think Fergal O'Brien's horse is getting back this Siog Gal, I think is how you pronounce it. Fourth to that Jubilee Alpha, that was the form we talked about in the last race. Second to Bluey as well at Mark Grayson. But the key, I think, is going to be the longer trip with this one. Has been looking at outpaced in its last races, but up here to 2.5. Ground will be fine. I think Fergal had a winner today, possibly. So Yard are going all right. 3 sort of stats that back it up. 10 of the last 12 winners have carried 11 stone 3 or less. So massively rules out Jasmine Bliss, but the third prize is bang on there. 9 of the last 12 have been 5 or 6 year olds. Again, there's a few in there you can knock out. And 3 finished last time out, 9 of the last 12. So basically, Fergal's horse gets a thumbs up from all 3 of those stats. So yeah, pretty happy with that. Seal Gal.
Okay, I thought that Scarlet Latara could be interesting if she was ridden aggressively on the front end, but I'm going to go with Jasmine Bliss. I think she's actually a really, really strong player for this race. She's won her last 2 starts impressively. She stays 2 mile 4 well. She's rated 125. Yes, she's carrying top weight, but she's beaten pretty useful opposition at Ludlow and Southvale. She travels smoothly. She jumps well. She's got tactical speed, and she's representing Harry Derham, who's in great form, and Paul O'Brien is riding superbly this year. So she sets the standard. I think she should be favoured. The fact that she isn't makes her the bet. So that's who I'm siding with. The 3:35 Kelso is our last race of the weekend. We've got Flash de Pistolet is your 11-4 favourite. Bollinger and Krug. Oh, hopefully we're popping a bottle of something nice. A bottle of Bollinger after a unbelievable weekend of winners and gravy everywhere would be ideal. So who is your lucky last horse, George Gorman, who's sending us off to Barbados?
Well, the obvious one's Flash de Pistolet, but then I think the more I looked at that horse, the less I liked it. Like the win last time, it was far from easy. You actually look back to his pointing days, he refused to race on racecourse debut. That sort of temperament first time out doesn't go away. And it was just enough for me to oppose him at the prices. I landed on Escape and Evade, who has done plenty of winning on soft ground in his younger days, but to me he's starting to look like he's getting a bit older and maybe doesn't want that sort of slog anymore. So he's had 4 completed runs this season. One was on Good, he recorded an RPR of 127. On Good to Soft, he recorded 123. His 2 runs on Soft, 111 and 79. I think his underperformance on soft ground last time, it earned him a £5 drop to 120 from the handicapper. And he ran up a 3-timer at the start of 2024, where he started off 118, subsequently won off 123 and 128. He's the second youngest in this field, which isn't saying much, but I think looking at some of the others, there's plenty of 10-year-olds on career high marks, 11-year-olds on career high marks, 10-year-olds who aren't in love with the game. I just think he might still have a few days left in him. And the only thing that you would put, that people might try and put against him is he's got top weight here. But in his career, he has won with 11-11, 11-6, 11-12, 12 stone, 11-5, and also 12 stone. That's in a point-to-point. Usually the reason that happens with handicappers is it's because they've dropped down into the correct grade. The reason you'll see horses winning more with more weight than less weight is because they're dropping back to where they belong. And then when they win after that, they can't win with 10 stone 5 in a higher grade of race. And you'll see it again and again and again with low grade racing, horses winning with 12 stone or 11-12. And it's because they've finally been allowed back into the grade they should be in.
I really like that logic. I really, really like that logic. And I think it makes an awful lot of sense as well. I tried to talk myself out of Flash de Pistolet. There are reasons for taking him on, but the more I looked at the race, look, the more I looked at the race, the more I just thought, look, he's going to control it from the front and he's going to win. And on Racing Post ratings, he's coming into this on the back of a career best effort. So I'm going to trust him to build on that and go and win. And hopefully he can. And then hopefully that completes the Super Heinz Lucky 63, whichever one it is. And Bollinger and Krug can finish wherever he wants. And then we're popping the Bollinger and booking the flights to Dubai. It's simple, Andy, isn't it? It's just that simple.
I don't know. What are you going with? Flash de Pistolet?
Yeah, that's for me. Flash de Pistolet for me.
I don't know. I mean, I'm with George, really. I think like last time out, that win at Newcastle looked a bit, hard work, up £6, up in grade here. I think it was his first win, I think, over fences from 7. So I'm not sure about got back in troop either. I think that was over a bit further. So, yeah, look, Duty Calls won this last year. It's probably worth mentioning that, but hasn't won a race since. I don't think. I think it's £1 lower. Totally get where George is coming from with the James Hewitt horse. They actually do brilliantly at the track with their chases, 29% strike rate. So Escape and Evade, so I think it's £8 lower than its last mark at Kelso. And like you say, the interesting thing is the ease in grade. I think its last one did come in a Class 3, but before that, it did win a Class 4 as well at Sedgefield. I think the weight will be no problem, ground will be no problem. This time of year looks the time to catch it as well. I mean, all its wins last year were February, March. So that's interesting. But look, this is the race that I thought that Lucinda had a good record in when I spoke about it earlier. I think the first race talked about, but this is the one. She's won 2 of the last 6 of these, and Bollinger and Crew, which we talked about in the intro, is going to be the main bet, I think, here. Just ticks quite a lot of stats. 5th last time at Kelso, but it's just dropping down handicap marks. I think it's £12 lower now. Its last win, which admittedly was ages ago, like November, I think 2023 or something. But that came at Kelso. We know the track is absolutely fine, but more importantly, a bit like that, Escape and Evade down in class again. Yeah, it's been running in Class 3 mainly recently, back into a Class 4. Last time it ran in a Class 4, it came 3rd, but the time before that, it won. And it won off a mark of 1-2. It's running off a mark of 109. As we say, Lucinda has targeted this race before. So, Bollinger and Crew, bang.
Okay. Let's get the naps for the weekend, shall we? My nap is Ashington. I'm swinging for it, George. You're placing it. The fact that you can see Ashington out your window, just that sealed the deal. Class horse in the race, I think, coming into the race on the back of a really, really good effort. I'm hoping that he will build on that. And Paddy Barlow's £7 claim. Go on, Paddy. Get it done for us. Nap of the weekend, Ashington, 225 Kelso. George.
That's made my mind up for me, so I've stuck between 2. So I'll go for the 3:15 at Newbury, La Pensionnaire.
Like it. Andy Newton?
Look, why not's going to be all over the net this weekend, but that's too short. So we're going to go all iron in the 205 at Newbury. Longer trip will be fine. Harry Derham absolutely buzzing. Form has been front of its last runs. And look, the next best is the one we just talked about, the Lucinda horse in that last race at Kelso, Bollinger and Crew. I think it's all tied in for a big run there. Of course, in distance winner, well handicapped. Right? So yeah, Northern Iron, Bollinger and Crew for me.
Throw in Why Not, and you've got a lucky 15 with our 3 naps. So Ashington, Why Not, Northern Iron, and George?
Le Pensionnaire.
There's our lucky 15. Sorted. Book the flights to Dubai. We are off to the Dubai World Cup. I'll be covering the Grand National on TalkSport 2, Touchwood, live from Dubai. One eye on the Dubai World Cup, one eye on the Grand National with Paddy Aspel. Right, that's it. Really enjoyed today's show. I hope you've enjoyed it too. It's a quiet punting weekend, but I'm strangely confident about some of these horses. Maybe we shouldn't be. But anyway, we'll give it a go. And on Monday, we'll do the Yes No Game Show Grand National Edition. We'll take you through every single runner in the Grand National. Yes or no to the panel. Are they with them? Are they against them? And why? Should be a bit of fun. Join us for that. From George Gorman, Andy Newton, and me, Emmet Kennedy, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you again very, very soon on the Final Furlong podcast. Look after yourself and each other. God bless.
The Final Furlong podcast is proudly brought to you by Jeff Banks Bet. Get up to £500 refunded as real money for new Jeff Banks online accounts after your first month of betting. Use promo code FFP500 at jeffbanks.bet.